right, well, I'm going to go ahead and introduce today's guest. We are limited to an hour here. We want to be respectful of everyone's time, so thank you all for joining us. I do have the pleasure of introducing Dr. Bryan Williams. I've had the pleasure of seeing him speak a couple of other times, and so I know that everyone is in for a real treat today. Dr. Bryan Williams is a keynote speaker and author who focuses on leadership and service excellence. He has facilitated workshops and delivered keynotes worldwide for various companies in diverse industries. Bryan was the Global Corporate Director of Training and Organizational Effectiveness for the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company. He holds degrees in Business Administration, Hotel and Restaurant Management, Adult Learning, and a Doctor of Management in Organizational Leadership. Bryan is also the founder of the acclaimed BW Leadership Academy, the Strong Leader Institute, the Supervisor Skills Workshop, and the BWTV Online Learning. He is the author of 4 books on service excellence and was a member of the Board of Examiners for the Baldrige Performance Excellence Program. Most of all, Bryan is very passionate about helping companies reach high levels of service and organizational excellence. So we are thrilled to have him donating his time and expertise to us today. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Bryan. One last thing I will mention is feel free to use the chat feature throughout his presentation today. I will stop him for questions throughout if you do have any questions. So Bryan, thank you for joining us and take it away.
Thank you so very much, Sarah. Well, thank you and good afternoon to everyone. I'm assuming that everyone's, well, if you're either in the afternoon or morning or whatever the time may be, greetings to you. I think first and foremost that it's an absolute privilege to be alive. I think each day that we have is an extra day that is completely undeserved. So no matter with whatever is going on in this world, pandemic or not, corona or not, the mere fact that you can listen to this webinar right now and that we can commune together and communicate and inspire and encourage each other, it's a blessing. So let me just start off by saying that. I want to just say thank you to Lisa, Sarah, the entire team at the International Inbound Travel Association. I want to say thank you for allowing me to serve today. You probably guessed by now my accent, I'm not from Kentucky, where Lisa and Sarah and the team are. I was born and raised in the Caribbean, specifically in St. Thomas, United States Virgin Islands. I don't know if any of you have been to St. Thomas, but St. Thomas is one of the 3 U.S. Virgin Islands. There's 3 of them, St. Thomas, St. John, St. Croix. Well, we also count Water Island, so that's 4. But I'm from St. Thomas, and it's 32.5 square miles, 13 miles long, 4 miles wide, and you can get from one side to the next in about 45 minutes or so. So I grew up working in the luxury hotel business, mainly with Ritz-Carlton hotels. I had several jobs, I actually counted 17 different roles at one point or another, from dishwasher to busboy to wine sommelier to bartender to housekeeping to bellman, doorman, concierge, HR, you name it. I became director of training and development at the Ritz-Carlton in St. Thomas, moved to Atlanta, Georgia, which is where my southern accent came from. Yeah, right? You're probably laughing at me right now. But I was the director of training there. Then I moved to the corporate office in the Washington, D.C. area. And I was the global corporate director of training and quality for the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company worldwide. So I got to open lots of hotels and travel the world and do lots of cool things. But over the last 14 years, I've had the great privilege to have my own company. And what we do is we help other businesses with their service culture. How do you get your team? How do you get your DMO? How do you get your DMC? If you're a tour operator, a bed bank, OTA, your supplier, how do you create a culture of consistent world-class service with high team member engagement each and every day? That's what I've dedicated my life to do, help other companies do that, whether they're in hospitality or healthcare or schools or churches, you name it. So I want to spend the next less than an hour with you talking about leadership, organizational culture, team member engagement. I know that Sarah's going to be helping me as questions come in. I'll be happy to answer those for you, but we'll also allocate some time towards the end. And I know that several of you sent in some questions, so I'm going to do my best to answer those questions also. But first, I want to give you a little background to kind of give you the context to how all this is. Because many of you, you may be owners of your company, owners of your organization. And even if you're not, it's important to come to work each day, sign in to work each day. In our case, log in to work each day with a sense of ownership for your craft. So 15 years old, came to work, and this is on St. Thomas. I was a dishwasher, first day of work. And the restaurant was called the Palm Terrace. And this is an ultra bougie restaurant. I'm telling you, the place had marble floors, granite countertops, the silverware felt like dumbbells. The menus had no prices on them. I'm gonna let that sink in for a moment. The menus had no prices on them. So you know what that means? That means if you don't have any money, stay home. It's not for you. So I came to work in this environment. First day, I was in the 11th grade, and the maitre d', he was very polished. I'm talking about buttoned up. I'm talking about he was from Paris and polished, and for him, it was things were either excellent or awful. The table was either set with perfection or it was absolutely chaotic. There was no in between. It was either right or wrong. First words out of his mouth on that day to me, first day of work. Actually, I want you to use your chat feature real quick. Use the chat feature in your Zoom control panel, and I'm gonna see you. Use your chat feature. I want you to tell me, what do you think he said to me? First words out of his mouth that day. And I can actually see your chat messages coming in. I turned the video off just real quick, but I wanna see. What do you think he said to me? Anybody, use your chat feature. Okay, so nothing's coming as yet, but get a haircut. What are you wearing? I love it. Alfredo says, what are you doing here? That'd be terrible. Leticia says, what are you wearing? Sherry says, get a haircut. Well, I will tell you, smile. Kimberly Peterson says, what do you do to make our guests feel special? Sheldon says, why are you here? All right, so I'm gonna tell you exactly what he told me. He looked at me in the eyes, and what he said to me changed my life, okay? He said to me, I want you to work in this restaurant like you own it. And then I said, huh? And he said, 6 months from now, if this restaurant is not better as a result of you being hired, you failed. And I said, I'm just a dishwasher. In his mind, I was not just anything. He was basically saying to me, if you don't come on this team, the team has to be better because of you. We're either better or worse because of you. When you come to work, when anybody here on this call comes to work each day, something about the team or the organization is better or worse. It's never neutral. But then he said, thank you, Lucia. But then he said something else to me that really rocked my world, turned me upside down. He said to me, now, I don't know how long you'll be in this job, whether it's 6 days, 6 weeks, 6 months, I don't know. But he said to me, I want you to promise me something. By the time you leave this job as a dishwasher, there has to be evidence you were in that job. Evidence. Evidence. If any of you watch CSI, Law and Order, any of these types of crime shows, and you see evidence, evidence is not a theory or a concept or an idea or feeling. Evidence is proof. Evidence is something you can hold. Evidence is something you can touch. So he was daring me. He was challenging me. He was saying, look, little 15-year-old boy, when you come here each day, your barometer for success is whether or not you've left positive proof that you were here. So I want to just start off this call today on this glorious Tuesday with that mindset. Whatever you're doing, you're here for a purpose. You're here to own. You're here to leave positive evidence. Even if today is the only day you have. Even if you don't know what tomorrow is, because none of us can say what tomorrow is going to look like. It seems like every day the news is either it's progressively moving in one direction and we're not sure. No one knows. Huh? We call this the great pause in society. And this is actually the ultimate control alt delete. If you ever think about it, we have every opportunity to reboot ourselves. But because we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, we have to all, myself included, we have Lisa included, Sherry, everyone here on this call today, whether it's Alvaro, Scott, Sherry, Zachary, whether it's Paul, Jody, Jesus, Chris, James, Lydia, I want today, think to yourself, I am going to be a day laborer. And with I don't know if any of you know any day laborers, but I used to be a day laborer at one point, working construction type jobs, right? When you're a day laborer, tomorrow is not promised. You don't know if you'll have a job tomorrow. You literally don't know if you'll have a job tomorrow. So you have to work today as though this is the only day you have. And you want to work today in such a way that if tomorrow comes, you're in front of the line. You're top of mind. And that's the whole point. So I want to start by this first question I was submitted. And the first question, and hopefully I have time for at least 5 questions, but this first question we have is, in today's business environment with the layoffs and furloughs, how do we keep our team motivated and focused on rebuilding rather than if they're next to be furloughed? I mean, there's no guarantee. And that's real, isn't it? How do you keep your team motivated and engaged when you don't know if tomorrow you'll be here? You don't know if tomorrow we'll have a company, tomorrow we'll have a job. My response to that is, as a leader, you're on this call, regularly discuss how each day is a gift. Talk about how each day is a gift. Talk about doing what you can do today. In fact, I actually talk about expectations of today. Talk about what will success look like by the end of today. Have each person come up with quantifiable and qualitative metrics for what they're going to do today. Because the beautiful thing about inertia, that's law of physics, right? Inertia is that things will continue to move in a direct line unless an outside force knocks it out of place. So if we can continue building the habit of doing something productive each day, starting today, then it will naturally flow over into tomorrow. One of my mentors years ago, his name was Horst Schulze. And Horst Schulze was basically the founder of the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company. He was also the first president and CEO. And I wouldn't even be doing what I'm doing right now if he hadn't existed. But he said something to me when I was like in my early 20s. I was a concierge at the time. And he said to me, that Bryan, a lot of people think that they have this whole idea about success completely wrong. I asked him, what did he mean by that? He said people think that success is something you do in the future, right? Like, I'm going to accomplish this by the end of this year, after this pandemic has passed, we will accomplish this or that. We're going to generate. He said that's completely short-sighted. He said to me that if you always think of success as something in the future, then you never get there. He says success is not the future because you're not in the future. Success is what you do today. Today is success. So I wrote something called Today. I want to share it with you. It says, today, enthusiastically and gratefully celebrate that I woke up. Today, begin by loving myself, then let that same love guide how I treat others, regardless if they deserve it or not. Today, do one thing for one customer with absolute perfection, then repeat. Today, tell one colleague that I value them and why. Today, tell one customer that I value them and why. Today, tell myself that I value myself and why. Today, serve each person with excellence and not adjust my eagerness, kindness, or attentiveness based on how important I believe that particular person is. Today, make it my minimum expectation to exceed everyone else's expectations. Today, don't just serve, don't just engage, but truly honor each person I serve. Today, graciously appreciate that no one in the world can serve exactly like me and be proud of that difference. And when the day comes to a close, ask yourself, did I make a positive, meaningful, or memorable difference in anyone's life today? So that's my answer to that question. Because we all know, we all have some levels of anxiety, but if you focus on today and you mix that with a double portion of faith, that's what I can do. Louisa said that's why it's called the present most beautiful gift. Absolutely. If you start by focusing on today and what you can do today and who you can serve today and who you can love today and who you can encourage today, and you mix that with faith about tomorrow, that's all you can really, really, really do at this juncture in time. So hopefully that's helpful. Any comments on that before I move on to question number 2? Any comments? Any comments? I can see your chat messages come through, just so you know. But if there's any comments, and by the way, that poem that I just read to you, I'll make sure that Lisa and the team gets that, so they can share it with everyone here on the call. Don't say that I didn't give you anything. All right, if there's nothing else, I'm gonna move on. Next question is, what can we be doing now to set ourselves up for success in the future? So what can we be doing now to set ourselves up for success in the future? I have a word for you, and the word is touch points. Touch points. Touch points. Now, as you all know, y'all know this already. I'm just kind of reminding you of things that you already know. But a touch point is any interaction between your customer and you, between your customer and your business. So a touch point can be a customer calling you, emailing you, you sending them a piece of mail, you sending them the itinerary, whatever the case is. I mean, before I go on, I want you to just tell me, what are some common touch points in your organization, right? Whether you're a bed bank, whether you're an inbound operator, whatever it is. Yeah? What is a touch point? Let me just pause for a moment. I'm gonna pause for a moment. Let me ask you, what is a touch point in your business? Anyone? And Arnaldo says, so happy to hear your words, Bryan. We need that focus on our keep on north. I'm from St. Croix. All right, Krushan. Love it. Touch points, touch points. Okay, let me continue on. So the reason I'm saying touch points is because the overall experience a customer has with you is based on your touch points, all right? And with each touch point, you're either making a deposit or a withdrawal. Either deposit or withdrawal. So what I'm saying to you, during this time that we have to repurpose, refresh, rethink, re-strategize, identify the list of most common touch points in your business. And for each touch point, think of ways to enhance each touch point. So for example, if let's say sending the itinerary, or sending the package to the travel agents over in Europe or wherever it is, right? Let's say sending the package, the itinerary package to the travel agent is a touch point. Think to yourself, how can we enhance that even more? That may be you anticipating additional types of hotels and restaurants, and maybe the projected weather during that season in whatever state that you're operating from. That may be food and beverage recommendations. That may be, I don't even know, like additional concierge type services that your customers may need when they come over to the US. Whatever the case is, I'm saying officially it's called customer journey mapping. That's the total quality management term. Customer journey mapping. So identify the touch points, number one, and two, identify ways to enhance each touch point. And then that's a great thing for you to do right now. But a second thing that I strongly recommend, make sure that you have the right people in the right roles. Make sure you have the right people in the right roles, or somebody else may say, make sure that the right people on the right seat on the bus. Now, this right now is a great season for us to think about, is everyone who's been on my team, should they be on my team? I'm gonna pause for a moment, let that sink in. So this is a great time for you to ask yourself, is everyone who was on my team, like, should they be on my team? And by that, and the criteria by when I say should, I'm talking about, is each person in a role where they are adding the most value? Are they optimizing their strengths? Don't make no mistake about it. Each person comes to you with a certain set of strengths and gifts that they have that make them unapologetically who they are. So if you have a role, for example, let's say you have a role where somebody's job is to answer the phones, and that's like the first major touch point is to answer the phone. Please make sure that the person answering the phone is the happiest being on earth next to Mickey Mouse. I'm not even joking right now. Make sure you have the happiest person on earth answering the phone. Make sure it's a person who loves to talk to strangers. Somebody who lights up at the very idea of talking to someone they don't know. That's who you need to have answering the phone. Don't have this person answering the phone. Hello, good afternoon. Thank you for calling XYZ Agency. How can I help you today? What? No, not that person. Doesn't mean that's a bad person, but that person is either in the wrong role or they should not be in your company. This is ask yourself the hard questions. Now is the time to ask yourself the hard questions. Do we have the right people in the right roles where each role is the best possible version of itself, right? Because honestly, you didn't create roles to employ people. You bring in people to fill the roles that you created. I'm gonna say that again. You didn't create roles in order to hire people. That's not generally how it works. You have a business and you say, all right, we need these roles, these types of jobs to service our customers. Now, let's make sure that we carefully select, wisely select the right people who are in alignment with our organizational vision, mission, and values to be in those roles. So it's not just a role, but the right person in the right role can create synergy. All right? So that's my response to the next question. Let me see how we're doing here. Again, if you have any questions or comments, please jump in. I'm here for you. A follow-up to that question is, how can I instill confidence in my clients that I can still handle their business, right? There's so much going on. A lot of businesses have closed or temporarily shut down or whatever the case is. So as a member of the Inbound Travel Association, right? As a member of this association, how do you instill confidence in your clients? How do you instill confidence in your clients? I would say one of the great things each person on this call can do is to seek ways to become a thought leader. Okay? Seek ways, Jordy, I'm going to answer that question in just a moment, but seek ways to become a thought leader. How do you do that? I would say, share your thoughts, like whatever blogs or newsletters or websites or social media platforms that you frequent, put your thoughts in there. Don't just say I agree or ditto or no. Actually put your thoughts, because each person on this call is a subject matter expert at what you're doing. You have to be, otherwise you won't be a part of this association. So I would seek ways to become a subject matter expert, and people always seek out subject matter expertise. All right, no matter what your area is. So we did have a question. I'm going to pause there for a moment, and the question from Yordi is, how can you touch point with clients that are not able to sail our destination and offering service is not an option? All right, so let's assume that your client is the travel agent, right? I think one thing you can do is keep in touch with them. Just regular communication. For even my clients, I can't tell you how many times I've reached out saying, listen, I'm thinking of you, I'm praying for you. Here's an additional resource that I think will help your business. I may not be getting anything monetarily in the short term, but what we're doing is, number one, we're spreading love. And number two, we're planting seeds so that for when the storm passes, then we have things coming back because we've already sowed the seeds in the ground. So I would say, look for ways to add value to whoever your customers are, whoever your clients are. Like for example, in my case, one of the ways that I'm adding value right now is, so I love to educate and I love to encourage. Those are two of the biggest things that I like to do a lot. I love to do those things. So every Wednesday we do a series called Webinar Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I bring in guest experts and we talk about all these types of questions, right? About leadership, organizational effectiveness, and so on. But that's a way, and I don't charge for that, right? That's a way for me to give what I have. If the world needs anything right now, it needs more people to give what they have, to lighten the load of someone else. Whatever it is you think I was just reading something on LinkedIn this morning. There was a taxi driver. It was a video of a taxi driver in Spain, and the video was shot from inside of a hospital. I mean, everyone's wearing masks and everything, but this particular taxi driver, since this entire pandemic has started, he has been shuttling people to the hospital for checkups and visits and tests and so on, and he's not charging them. He's wearing a mask and everything. So this morning, the video I saw on LinkedIn, He came, he brought some patients in there, and the entire hospital staff had huddled by the front entrance, giving him a big round of applause. And the taxi driver was overcome with emotion. And then one of the clinicians gave him a paper which had he had a negative test result, thank God, for his COVID-19. But in addition, they gave him an envelope of cash because he hadn't been accepted. And you can tell he was just so humble about the whole thing. You can tell he wasn't doing it for money. He was just saying, okay, you know what? All I have is a taxi, but how can I use this taxi to bless other people? That's it. That's absolutely it. All right? So let me continue on. I have some more questions here for you. Another question that we have is, all right, we have some employees on furlough and a few carrying the load while others are out. When the industry begins to open up, how do we quickly motivate all employees and get them refocused and working as a team again? Right? So basically, this is a question of atrophy, right? Atrophy. Muscles atrophy, right? Things that if you don't use them, things start to get a bit stiff. So the question once again is, we have some employees on furlough and a few carrying the load while others are out. When the industry begins to open up, how do we quickly motivate all employees and get them refocused and working as a team again? All right, so my first thing for you is to refocus, or it's a great time to develop a very clear mission statement. Now, the thing about mission statements, you have to be careful because in my experience, most organizations view them as superficially interesting but fundamentally insignificant. Yeah, it's nice, it's pretty. We went on a retreat up in the mountains. We did yoga, ate berries, came up with this beautiful mission statement that we came off the mountain, descending on the clouds, put it in a gold frame, put it up on the wall. All the choir was singing behind it, brought a tear to your eye. But then nobody ever talks about it again. That's how most companies deal with mission statements. Sounds nice, but it's not really an operational thing. I promise you, any organization in this world that is considered benchmarkable, that has a very strong reputation for being successful, I don't care what industry you're talking about, they have a very clear mission statement where pretty much every employee knows, or they at least know where to find it, or they can tie their objectives and their goals to that. So I spent about pretty much 10 years with the Ritz-Carlton Hotel Company. And the mission statement of that company is called the Credo, C-R-E-D-O. And I've been gone from that company going on 14 years, and I still know the Credo. The Credo says, the Ritz-Carlton is a place where the genuine care and comfort of our guests is our highest mission. We pledge to provide the finest personal service and facilities for our guests who will always enjoy a warm, relaxed, yet refined ambiance. The Ritz-Carlton experience enlivens the senses, instills well-being, and fulfills even the unexpressed wishes and needs of our guests. Now, how can me, with a small little Tyrannosaurus Rex pea brain, know those 3 paragraphs? And I've been gone for so long because we talked about it every day. In good times, we talked about it. In times of recession, we talked about it. You especially need to be grounded and rooted in something foundational when things are a bit, topsy-turvy. Right now, everything's moving at such a rapid pace, good, bad. You don't know what the news is going to look like tomorrow. This is the time to be anchored in something that's unchanging. So right now, I think a great thing to do, if you have a mission statement, dust it off, look at it, is it still relevant? Or start to create one. My company, one of the things we do is we help companies create vision, mission, service standards, that whole thing. But these are the 4 questions for you to ask yourself. Are you ready? In fact, I'm going to pause right now. I need you to send me a chat message to say, I am ready. I want you to type in, I am ready. That way I know you're ready. Because I'm going to give you 4 questions that you can use at home or use right now. Lisa is ready. Alfredo is ready. Alexandra is ready. Arnaldo is ready. Paul, Jody, Kimberly, they're all ready. Joy is ready. Luisa is ready. Okay, we got some ready people. Zachary is ready with all caps. Pierre is ready. Casey is ready. I love it. All right, Scott, okay, we good. So we are ready. Here are the 4 questions. Question number 1. Oh, Sherry says ready with 5 exclamation marks. Here we go. Question number 1. What do we do? Okay? tour operator, inbound operator, bed bank, OTA, DMC, DMO supplier. The first question is, what do we do? Force yourself to only do about 2 bullets. They don't even have to be sentences. They can be little fragments. Just 2 quick bullets. What do we do? Overall, what do we do? That's question number 1. Question number 2, who do we do it for? Meaning, who is the recipient of whatever it is that you do? Is it travel agents? Is it customers? Is it clients? Is it another supplier? Who is it, right? Is it association members? Number 2. Number 3, how do we do it? I mean, what's the manner in which you do it? Huh? What's your style in doing it, right? How do you do it? So what do we do? Who do we do it for? How do we do it? Now, here's the 4th one. Here's the 4th one now. Why do we do it? Don't just put to make money. Yeah, of course, all organizations, even nonprofits, even churches, we all try to make money so we can, right, survive. But don't put that down. Like, why? Search deep. Go deep. Like, what's the purpose of why we do what we do? Why does your organization exist? Why? How is the world better because your organization is in it? That's the 4th question. So when I was starting this business 14 years ago, you know, when you're starting a business with small situation like mine, you know, your first office desk is usually your dining room table or something like that. So I'm at my dining room table and I'm thinking, I'm really pondering this question, like, why do I want to start this business? Why? And I started thinking to myself, well, I love to serve people, right? Because ultimately I'm a server. I love to serve people. And I said, well, I would love to serve everybody in the world. Because I didn't tell you this, but what gets me going is I love to see people treated extremely well. That's my real thing. I love to see people treated like kings and queens. Then I started saying, well, I can't serve everybody in the world. So the next best thing is I will serve businesses who serve their customers. So the purpose statement or the why for my business is to serve others so they can better serve the world. That's my company's purpose statement, right? That's our purpose. So those are the 4 questions. So basically, what do we do? Who do we do it for? How do we do it? Why we do it? No more than 2 bullets per question, and then ponder the responses. And then you take those responses and you write down 1 or 2 sentences maximum. 1 or 2 sentences maximum that kind of captures your responses to those 4 questions. And that's your mission statement. Now, ideally, you're not doing this by yourself, unless it's a team of 1. But if you have a team of people, whether it's 10 people, 15 people, whatever it is, get them all together and answer those 4 questions together. And then you come up with your mission statement together, right? I think that's a great idea. It's a great thing for you to do right now in this season. Now, the next question I have here is, how do I effectively manage a team working from home? Well, because of the type of job we do, unless you're an essential worker or essential business, most of us are working from home. So how do you effectively manage people that are working from home? I'm gonna give you 3 quick things. Number one, regular communication. Regular communication, that's key. Communicate regularly, daily, communicate, whether it's via text, whether it's email. And I'm not just saying things to do. I'm saying start the day off. If you're in a leadership role, every day start the day by sending something inspirational, motivational, something, just something, share something, right? Share something right now. I'm sorry, not right now, but every day communication is, I think that's the best thing, number 1. Number 2, I would say, is share gratitude. Share gratitude. On a daily basis, start with yourself, meaning don't ask anybody to share gratitude if you're not going to share gratitude first. In fact, as a leader, don't ask anybody to do anything ever unless you're going to do it first. Because no one's going to ever take you seriously with any directive or any objective unless you do it first. I'll say that human nature is to not follow people's directions immediately. I think most people I mean, you may have a few superstars who just do what you say to do because they're just that kind of person, but that's not the norm in most cases. In most cases, people are going to listen to you, and then they're going to wait to see if you're going to do it. Because if you don't do it, then I don't have to do it either. So I would say share gratitude. Share something you're grateful for, whether it's your family, your home, whatever it is. Share gratitude, share grateful for them, and then you have them respond back. And then I would say lastly, so after you communicate regularly, right? Share gratitude, set clear expectations. This is not the time to be ambiguous. This is not the time to share platitudes or give generalities. Everyone should be very clear. No one should be confused about what they're supposed to be doing, right? So communicate regularly, share gratitude, set clear expectations. So we have a question that came in. I'm gonna pause here for just a moment. Hold on, let me just turn the video off because when I go to the chat, my video freezes. I look weird. Okay, so the question is, some of our leaders are leading under the pressure of fear and conformity. How do we open their eyes to common sense? All right, thank you for that question. Thank you for that call. Just 1 second. Thank you for that question. I would say it's very difficult to influence someone who you report to, okay? It's very difficult to do that. So that question is really a question of managing up. If you unfortunately find yourself on a team or under the leadership of someone who's like very autocratic and they want things done now and do it today and send you proof that you did it today. If you have that kind of situation, then there's a few options for you. I would say number one is communicate how you're feeling to who you're working with. And if you say, well, Bryan, you don't understand who I'm working with, then I would say, frame it this way. Let's say that the person is Lisa. So it's Lisa, right? Let's assume, and Lisa is not a kind of leader, by the way. Okay, but let's assume that it's Lisa, and I'm pulling my hair out, like I'm pulling each strand out because I'm so stressed out by the autocratic and do it today, that kind of thing. I would make an appointment, not just pass by. I would make an appointment with Lisa, and I would say, hey, Lisa, let me tell you something. I like working here. And I enjoy my job. And guess what? I know I can be even more effective. I can be even more fruitful. Would you like that? Lisa's gonna say, oh yeah, of course. Then that's my door to come in and say, here's what I need from you in order for me to be even more effective. I would say, I work best when I have a bit more autonomy. I work best when you empower me to do something. I work best when you delegate something to me and then you trust me to get it done. Yeah, I work best that way. And I can check in with you every what is it, daily, every other day, weekly? I'll check in with you. But I'm saying to you, if you want me to be optimized, if you want to see Bryan Williams 2.0, the next level, the next iteration of me, then I just need more autonomy. I think that's the most reasonable way you can go about it. And if you have a leader who's like, doesn't care what you say, then you always, again, this is where faith comes in, you always have the option of not working there. Okay? Don't leave that off the table. I want us to get to a point in society when that we are uncomfortable with being unhappy. You know what I mean? There's too many people at work who are unhappy. I think every year the Gallup organization puts out a poll where they collect responses as to the state of workplace engagement, basically how happy and how engaged and how productive people are at work. And year after year, at least 65 to 66% of workers here in America are unhappy at work or disengaged at work, right? No one benefits from that. No one benefits from that. No one benefits when you are unhappy at work because you're never putting forth your best self. So I have found myself working in a situation where the person I reported to is very, very, autocratic. And I personally, I don't work best that way. I need to have some freedom and some autonomy to do what I do. I need to feel like I am at least the CEO of my job some way, somehow. And I've had to move. I had to be transferred if that was an option. If not, you always have the option to not work there. Okay? No one's forcing you to work anywhere. If someone's forcing you to work somewhere, call the federal authorities because that's a crime. That's actually a federal crime. No one should be forcing anybody to work anywhere. But the point I'm trying to say is you have a choice. You have a choice. Okay? You have a choice. All right. Next question I have. Now, how are we doing on time? How are we doing on time, Sarah? I'm asking my friend Sarah because that's my mom.
Sorry, I've got to unmute here. We've got about 15 minutes.
All right. Okay. All right. Good. So I have another question here. The question is, what is the difference between change and transition? And what are we facing? Like, what is this? Right? So what is the difference between change and transition, and what on earth are we facing? Well, honestly, I think linguistically, change and transition can be synonymous in many ways. But I think the more appropriate term, if I may, would be evolution. Or even metamorphosis. You have cocoons. The caterpillar goes into the cocoon and then a butterfly comes out. I feel like this right now is our collective and individual cocoon moment. Shame on us. Shame on us if any of us comes out of our cocoon the same way we went in. No one should come out of this pandemic the same as they went in. Some things should be better, more majestic. We should have read something. We should have learned something. We should have rebranded something. We should have repurposed something. We should have done something that when this thing is over, we were better. Now, I know we have one of the callers here is from St. Croix, and I'm from St. Thomas, so we're from the U.S. Virgin Islands. And when you're from the Caribbean, you have hurricanes that pass through basically between July and October is hurricane season, especially though around September-ish. So I've lived through many hurricanes, some of which have been catastrophic where the whole house has been destroyed. But the thing about storms is that the very next day, the sun always seems to shine brighter. Like, I remember oh my gosh, I remember Hurricane Marilyn. Hurricane Marilyn was 1995, destroyed our entire house, right? Next morning we got up and it's like, that got up because we couldn't sleep, right? Because we were stuck in a closet because the entire roof came off, ceiling crashed down. So we were stuck, me and my parents were stuck in my little closet brought up to our waist for 7 hours. Next morning, storm passed and it was brighter. So the sun always shines brighter when the storm is past. When this COVID-19 has passed, the sun will shine brighter. And we have to all be brighter collectively because of it. Okay? So I'm going to pause here. And I'm going to just see if there's any questions. And I actually didn't say, but my family and I, my wife and 2 children, we live in the Washington, D.C. metro area, specifically in Maryland. So no, I'm not reporting from St. Thomas. We're in Maryland, and I don't know if I said that earlier or not. So, questions, comments. Let me stop here, pause here. I think we've covered quite a bit in 50 minutes. So now's the time for me to answer your questions if you have any. Oh, how about this? If you don't have a question, what's been the biggest takeaway for you? Because, really and truly, if you come to a class like this, a webinar like this, if you don't leave with something you can take and apply, then it's been a big waste of time. And hopefully we didn't waste your time today. So, any takeaways, comments, questions?
And feel free to use the chat feature or the raise hand feature, and we can take you off mute and you can ask your question or make a comment.
Alfredo says that he needs to bottle my enthusiasm. Listen, you can get it on Amazon. Amazon.com has it. But really and truly though, back to Alfredo's comment, the reason I'm enthusiastic is because I'm full of joy. And the reason I'm full of joy is because I am walking in my calling. I believe I was put on earth to do this. what I'm doing right now. And whenever you have people who are doing what they're meant to do, enthusiasm has to come out. So, yes, Sarah, question?
There is a question from Arnaldo. He says, do you think the industry will be back by August?
I think some form of it. I don't believe 100%. Now, obviously, that's not I don't track industries and the economy. That's not what I do. But I just, my gut tells me that I think by the beginning to midsummer, we'll start to see things getting back to normal. I would be shocked if we get to like the third quarter, middle of third quarter, and things are not significantly better. Because people are itching to do things, you know? And because of the widespread social distancing that's happening and all the things, I think that we're gonna be seeing better returns sooner rather than later. All right, so what else we have? Excuse me. Alexandra says, she's inspired to be a better leader. Wonderful, wonderful. Chris wrote, you're right, the sun does shine bright after a hurricane. You're a Florida resident. That's right. Chris, you're there from 7M Tours, right? They does shine brighter, Florida gets hurricanes. Lisa says, we are in a collective and individual cocoon. We'll come out different with the sun shining. You better believe it. You better believe it. And let me see here. Arnaldo says, I agree. Good. Any other comments? Any other questions? Any other takeaways? Takeaways, comments, questions?
Bryan, while we wait for some to come in, can you tell people where they can find you online or how they can connect with you outside of this webinar?
Absolutely. So first of all, on LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn every day. So LinkedIn, you can watch, I post videos on there. I post comments, articles, posts. So it's Bryan Williams DM. My website is bwenterprise.net. In fact, I'm gonna type that into the chat myself. So, oh, hold on. I'm gonna type it in right now, bwenterprise.net. And everyone should be able to see that. And then on Instagram, hold on. So the first, let me see here. Okay, so bwenterprise.net, that's my website, and you can find my LinkedIn and Facebook and all that on there. My Facebook is BW Enterprise. And yeah, those are the biggest ways I think to find me right now. Excuse me. Louisa says, success is what you do today. Crush it today. That's right, each day. With COVID-19, a great touch point has been virtual meetings, happy hours, where you can see your client's face. It feels more personal than a phone call or email. Absolutely. Thank you, Louisa. Even sharing, like doing a book club, right? Share a quote of the day, sharing that. I know with Netflix, people can even do watch parties where they can watch the same movie together, exercising together. I mean, the creativity. See, the creativity that's coming out of this has been absolutely amazing. And I'll tell you, I want to start to wrap it up by sharing with you a study. Actually, I was a keynote speaker at a fitness association event about 4 years ago. It was in Los Angeles. And one of the other keynote speakers, she's a psychologist at Stanford University, and she was sharing the results of a study. And the study was about the relationship between goal setting and goal attainment, okay? Because we know that that's not the same thing. Because you can set a goal and not attain it. We think about New Year's resolutions, people set goals all the time. So she was studying the relationship between goal setting and goal attainment. So watch this. She took a group of people and and each of them had to tell her how often they planned to work out each week. So each person had complete autonomy to write down how often they each plan to work out each week, right? So it could be 5 days a week, 1 time a week, whatever it was completely up to them. So 1 month into the study, I want to pause here. 1 month into the study, the researchers came and checked to see how compliant everyone was. So what percentage of people do you think were compliant? Use your chat feature. Or unmute yourself, however you want to do it. I want to see what percentage of people were compliant. Alfredo said 25%. Someone else, Kimberly said 10%. Arnaldo says 3%. Alexandra, 10%. Okay, so I'll tell you, 20%. Okay? Paul says 3.1. 20%. 20%. That's my little Spanish today. 20%. 20% of people were compliant. Now, the researchers gave everyone the opportunity to revise their goals. Because now you have 1 month of reality, right? You have 1 month of reality. You know full well with reality. Now you have 1 month of data. You can change your goals. What percentage of people do you think change their goals? Show me. What percentage change their goals 1 month in? What do you think? 5, 75%, 40, 60%, 100. Gabriel says 100. Okay. The answer is 0. No one changed their goals. People are basically saying, oh, I'm serious now. Just you watch. I'm not playing around. No more games. I'm going to start today. So the remainder of the time went by. So 3 months have now gone by. What percentage of people were successful? How many people attained the goal they set forth? How many people worked out as often as they said they're going to work out? The 3-month study went by. Well, what percentage do you think? 5%, 20, 30, 30, 60. Let me see what else. Okay, Jody says 2%, Kimberly says 20%. The answer is 10%. Yes, 10% of people were compliant. 10% of people were successful. So the question now becomes, really, what were the takeaways from the study? Like, what were the takeaways? What did we learn from the study? Here's what the researchers learned that we can all benefit from as it relates to our call today. Number one, most people have an unrealistic perception of their future self. Got that? Most people have an unrealistic perception of their future self. They think that somehow through osmosis or magic or sorcery, that their future self will be different than their present self. It's the same person. Who you are now and who you're going to be is exactly the same unless you change something. That's why you see so many people in the same plight in life, doing the same things, and they can't seem to change for 10, 20, 30 years. It's the same person. Now, here's the real takeaway. The other takeaway is that the people who were successful, the 10% who were successful, they never, ever focused on a 3-month goal or a 2-month goal or a 1-month goal or a 1-week goal. The thing that was common about the 10% is that they put all their energy, all they focus on today. I am going to work out today. If it kills me, I'm going to work out today. I don't care how I feel right now. I'm not going to sleep unless I work out when? Today. Because this is the real point of the entire message, of the entire call, the entire webinar that the International Inborn Travel Association put together. Here's the real point I want you to take away. If you don't remember anything else, the choice you make today will be the choice you make tomorrow. Whatever you do today is going to be what you'll end up doing tomorrow. If you do nothing today, you will do nothing tomorrow. If you do something today, you'll do something tomorrow. You can take that and apply it to any area of your life and you will see it come to if you do it today, chances are you'll do it again tomorrow. I don't care if you're talking about breaking habits. I don't care if you want to start putting together a new hobby. If you do it today, chances are very high you'll do it again tomorrow. Because your mind perceives tomorrow as day 2. Today is day 1. Everything begins with 1. So if you do it today, it'll happen again tomorrow. So I think I have yapped and talked up all the time. I don't know if that word was good for anyone, but it's been my absolute privilege. My goal, really, my entire goal is to see how I can hopefully bring some sunshine, some light, some smiles, some reflection, some introspection to everyone here on this call. And if I was able to do that with at least one person, then I count myself as blessed. So Sarah, I'll turn it back over to you.
Thank you, Bryan, for joining us today. I think we have all been challenged to make today the best version of ourselves. And so we thank you for that challenge and your optimism and enthusiasm you provided for us. We will be sure to put the poem you shared at the beginning on our website, a copy of this webinar, and then all of your social links that you've provided so people can connect with you. So thank you all. Thank you, Bryan. And we look forward to having you all back on another International Inbound Travel Association webinar. So thank you all.